battle shonen anime may just be the most popular subgenre in anime. Shows like One Piece, Naruto, and Dragon Ball are essentially the flagship shows of the anime genre here in the West. I think one of the fastest ways you can judge a battle shonen is by how they handle their fights. The 3 previous anime I listed are all particularly good at this, and any new shonen anime that ever enters the fray always has to keep up with these big 3. My Hero Academia has really taken the West by storm, and I honestly don't think it's any sort of surprise. My Hero Academia is incredible, and the fight scenes are some of the best in modern anime. So I've really been wanting to break them down and explain to you guys how My Hero Academia constructs fights. So fight scenes are generally some of the hardest things to pull off in the film medium for a multitude of reasons. The creators must balance 3 aspects: the action itself, the weight of the battle, and of course, the consequences. This is no easy feat, but as we go through My Hero Academia's fights, you will slowly understand just how masterfully these scenes are crafted. Now, I do want to clarify, not all of My Hero Academia's fights are excellent. I'm mostly referring to any fights we see/spend a decent bit of time on. There are a couple fights with little to no meaning during the tournament arc, but these are more so plot devices that are rushed through in a matter of minutes. So personally, I won't exactly be counting these as fights. So let's begin with the most important aspect to building a good fight and work our way back down. The most important aspect being the weight of the battle. This can be easily confused for the consequences of the battle, so I want to first bring up the differences between the two. The weight of the battle is what the battle means to the characters involved, whereas the consequences of the battle is something that happens after the battle is concluded. For instance, Midoriya's battle with Shinso is a battle about like-minded mentalities. Shinso's mind control quirk handicapped him in the practical exam, despite being extremely powerful. Thus, he was put into general studies. So Shinso's and Midoriya's beliefs align, well, at least before Midoriya received One for All. The weight of this battle is about Midoriya overcoming his previous insecurities about being quirkless, Shinso being a physical representation of how unfair the world is. Thus, Midoriya beats Shinso in a pretty strange way, only using his quirk once to nullify Shinso's quirk. After that, Midoriya beats Shinso fair and square in physical combat, proving that Midoriya has worked harder than Shinso for his right to be in Class A. Granted, you could argue Midoriya wasn't sure if he could control his quirk enough to not hurt himself further, but I think this scene was written to further emphasize that Midoriya has earned One for All, and shouldn't doubt whether or not it would be better for someone else to have it. Thus, the fight has weight. It isn't just another battle to show who's more capable in combat, it's a battle of moralities and beliefs. Another example of this is Todoroki versus Midoriya. In this fight, Midoriya is fighting for the belief that one should always try their hardest, while Todoroki is fighting to prove to his father that he doesn't need his quirk to be number 1. The interesting thing about this fight is that it proves that you don't have to win physically to win morally. Midoriya forces Todoroki to fight back at full strength, and Todoroki beats Midoriya. Todoroki won the physical fight, but Midoriya won the moral fight. The last example I'll be giving is Todoroki versus Bakugo. This is once again a pretty unusual fight. Todoroki is conflicted and is unsure on whether or not he should be fighting for his own beliefs or Midoriya's, while Bakugo is fighting to prove that he is number 1. The noteworthy lesson for this fight is that both sides can lose the moral battle. Bakugo beats Todoroki physically, but Todoroki actively holds back. So Todoroki loses morally, seeing that he's incapable of beating Bakugo without his flames, while Bakugo also loses his moral battle. This is because Midoriya was able to force Todoroki to attack at full force, while he was unable to, making Bakugo feel weaker despite his victory. So let's move on to this second aspect to creating a good fight. Consequences. Making sure a fight has consequences is something that I feel a lot of battle shonen overlook. If 2 characters get into an incredibly emotional fight and duke it out for X episodes, only for the fight to conclude and nothing to happen/change, I'd feel betrayed. Consequences are important because without them the fight has no further meaning. Backtracking a little bit to Midoriya versus Shinso, the battle resulted in Midoriya having more self-confidence and gaining empathy towards others who have faced similar hurdles in their lives. But he also enters the next fight against Todoroki handicapped, considering he broke 2 fingers in the fight against Shinso. These are all consequences that affect Midoriya both short-term and long-term, even though the fight is already ended. thus giving the fight meaning past the point where it's already concluded. So let's move on to the third and least impactful aspect of a fight: the actual combat itself. Good combat is merely lagniappe, or icing on the cake. It's what makes an already well-written fight go from being memorable to being a masterpiece. A lot of battle shonen jump the gun in this department, focusing purely on how the fight looks and flows and ignoring the previous two aspects mentioned. That's why you'll occasionally see impactful fights in shoujos, where the action isn't great but the fights still feel powerful and meaningful. Nevertheless, the action in a fight scene is incredibly important. What I think matters the most is how the fight is paced out. Once again, Todoroki vs Midori is the gold standard of this. Pacing out dialogue and short flashbacks throughout the fights really emphasize the feelings behind each punch. Not to mention the gorgeous art style it's done in and the beautiful finale. Can't really understate those. These three steps are the ultimate formula to making an excellent fight, and they are found in every significant fight in My Hero Academia. And generally, this is where I would conclude my video, but I want to bring attention to something else My Hero Academia does that I think goes beyond what any other battle shonen have done. You see, My Hero Academia subconsciously teaches you these three steps in the fight against Stain. The Stain arc is comprised of two villains, Stain and Shigaraki. Stain has a clear motive, fights for his own morals, and has to deal with the consequences. Shigaraki, on the other hand, has no clear motive, lacks any set of morals, and faces no real consequences. So despite Shigaraki doing way more damage to the city, he is completely eclipsed in the media by the hero killer Stain. The show is stressing the importance of having a moral code despite it potentially being flawed, because without one, you'll simply be ignored. I love it when shows both subconsciously teach their viewers about the film medium and still practice what they preach. My Hero Academia has become the new golden standard for battle shonen, and for a good reason. The fights are some of the best in modern anime, and people love them whether or not they understand why. Before I end the video, I want to give a special shout out to all of my patrons keeping my head above water. You guys are my heroes. Also, I'm glad you guys have been so persistent about me creating another My Hero Academia video. I thought you guys would be burned out by now, but I've gotten so many requests that I finally caved into doing this one, and potentially another one in the near future. If you guys like my content and want to see more, please consider supporting me on Patreon. I release anime-related content once a week. Make sure you guys share, like, comment, and subscribe. This is Manime Matt. Make sure you guys say, man, go watch that goddamn anime!